This is Family Time 182. We're talking about our core values. We're continuing to look at self-awareness. We do a couple of these to start off the year for our social emotional learning competencies. It's really the foundation of everything that we do in our social emotional learning. Have to understand yourself a bit first. Last week we talked about our stories, the experiences that maybe have helped define how we think and feel about things. This week, we're focusing on our core values, and I think that is really who we are. We are our values, our beliefs, our dreams, those sorts of things. So I want you to come up with a list. I try to stick around five core values for myself. Come up with these values. Try to identify, even if you have 3 to 5, something like that. Don't have a long list. There's always a lot of things that we value. If you sit down and you identified a bunch of different characteristics, you could have a long list of things that you think are important, but come up with your core values, the things that are central to who you are. Because if you understand that, if you understand your core values, it will help you in every difficult decision you ever have to make. It'll help you in every obstacle you ever have to face, because you can always fall back on those. When you have to make a difficult decision, you can say, am I making this decision based on my core values? Because I tell you, in life, especially as you get older, you go through challenging times, you're not going to know what the right decision is. A lot of you are getting to that age where you're making decisions about your life, who you are, what you really care about. And you're not sure if you're making the right decision. Well, what is the right decision? Is it the one that garners you the outcome that you want? Is it the one that makes you most successful? Or is it the one that is most truly aligned with your core values of what you believe, who you are? I would say that's the right decision every time, even if the outcome isn't necessarily what you would have chosen. The other thing core values do for us is it lets us fall back on something. That when things don't go well, when we are in challenging times, we can say, okay, but I can always go back to this. I can always check back in with these things. And that's not to say that our core values can't grow and change and develop with us throughout life, but it's important to know who we are. If I ask you your favorite color, your favorite food, your favorite Netflix show, you probably have an answer. If I ask you your core values, the thing that is really who you are, you might have to stop and think about it for a while. And I don't think that's the case. I think you should have this at the ready. I think you should be clear about your core values. I've talked about before, but 2 of the tattoos on my arms are visual representations for me, just reminders about my core values. I think a person ought to know their core values. And if you're bold, you ought to, in this case, literally, but you ought to wear it on your arm, wear it on your sleeve. So for me, my 5 core values are courage, integrity, respect, love, and empathy. And then you have to think about how you want to define those things. I use those as umbrella terms to mean a lot of different things. Courage for me first, because without courage, I don't think we can do anything. We can't develop, we can't learn, we can't grow, we can't do something great. We need courage. Life takes courage. The second one is integrity. Integrity to me means really living by my core values. Right? These things that I say are who I am. And sometimes when I deviate, when I don't live up to who I'd really like to be, then I have to fall back on that. And the other idea with integrity, or what it means to me, is trying to live by those values, do what I think is right without seeking praise, trying to help people altruistically without wanting something for it. Okay? That to me is integrity. And those first 2 things, courage and integrity, are kind of all about me. it doesn't depend on anyone else. Me having courage in a situation, I kind of have to, for myself, separate out how someone else might feel about it, how someone else might judge me. That's a part of courage. And then integrity is, like I said, not wanting to gain something out of it. It has everything to do with me, and it has nothing to do with anyone else's behavior. That's something I think about often. Of like, okay, if I'm living ethically, morally by my standard, somebody else's opinion or behavior shouldn't really impact that. So those two are just central to me. And then the last three of my core values, respect, love, and empathy, I feel are relational, right? They have to do with me and relationships with other people. And I have three of those and two individual ones because I do think most of the time we should be looking outward, right? When we should look in for self-awareness sorts of things, be clear about who we are, but life is relationships. And if we want positive things in our life, if we want good things in our life, we have to put those things out into the world. So respect starts with me. That's about self-respect, self-efficacy, self-belief. I have to treat myself with respect before I can treat others with respect. But then I can build relationships that are based on respect, that are based on understanding, even if I disagree with someone, that are tied into later talking about empathy. And then there's love. Respect, for me, leads to love, right? These things build on each other. The respect leads to love. And love is, I think, how we should live in our lives, right? Love the things we do. Surround ourselves with the people that we love. Try to put love into the world. And that starts with self-love before we can give it to other people in a real way. And then that leads to my final one, which is empathy. And I pick empathy as my last core value because I think it's the pinnacle of humanity. It's sort of the unreachable star that we can't ever truly empathize with someone else. We can never truly know how they feel, what they believe, what it is to be them, but we can try. We can try to walk in someone else's shoes, see things from their perspective. I think it's the greatest human endeavor. So that's why I put it as the last one, because it's something to always be reaching for, and it requires all those other things first. So that's what my 5 core values are, that I try to live by, and that sometimes I come up short. And that's the other great thing about being clear about our core values, is we have a measuring stick, right? Where I can go, and I do it all the time, where maybe I say something, do something, I'm like, man, that's not really in line with what I believe or who I want to be. And that's an ongoing process, always. Doesn't matter what age you're at. Ongoing process. And that's a great thing about all this. It's a great thing about being in school. Great thing about being a teacher and a coach is I get to see you learn and grow and develop. And you'll do that your whole life. Hopefully, that's what you want. You're never a finished product. All right, until next time, have a great week. Much love.